So, have you actually seen one of these before? Do you know what this is? Do you know what that date actually means? If you do, put some comments in the comment section below. But this is basically a date. This is a date. And that date is to give you some idea of when I bought my first legal motorcycle. And some of you that are watching this channel, watching this video, the older generation will know once upon a time, if you wanted to drive excuse me, if you wanted to drive or ride a motorcycle, you could literally just jump on it and ride it. The police didn't have radars and cameras in their police cars once upon a time. They literally just gave you something called a 7-day wonder. Like, if they sort of had an inkling that you didn't have a driving licence or insurance, they would just pull you over and give you something called a 7-day wonder, where you would have to go to your local police station and produce documents, because the technology just didn't exist, 20 years ago, where they could just sort of take your number plate and it feeds back to, the DVLA or whatever company they were using to see if you're insured or taxed. And that's how long I have been riding motorcycles. All of these streets, once upon a time, I'm not proud to admit, but me and my mates used to zip around on, what do you call it, dirt bikes, something called a pedal and pooch. That was one of my first bikes, and we just used to be riding around quite freely, and yeah, just not having any real problems, to be honest with you. But those days are well and truly gone, and I guess that's a long-winded answer to say I've got fair experience with riding motorcycles. And the reason that I'm actually making this video is for a couple of reasons. One, I'm going to go through the electronics on this bike. This is a 217 Super Duke R. And another thing I want to talk about is someone, a subscriber, was saying to me that this is going to be their first motorcycle. The 1290 Super Duke, a 1301cc twin, 180 brake horsepower, is going to be their first motorcycle. Now, you know who you are if you're watching this video, because I've done this video specifically for you. You've either got really big bad balls, or I don't know, maybe you need your head examining, laying down on a couch and speaking with a psychiatrist. I don't know, but I think one thing we've got, in the West is freedom. It's up to you what you want to do, and obviously we do what we want to do. That's the beauty of being in the West, in Europe. But look, I'm going to make this video for like my 24-year-old self, 23-year-old self, because my first bike, I basically used to ride bikes all around the streets, blah blah blah, with my friends, over on fields, all that sort of stuff. And then I passed my test. When I decided to do it legally, I basically got my license, and the first bike, when I passed my license, that I bought was a Suzuki GSXR 600. That was my first legal motorcycle that I purchased, and that thing is just an incredible bike. The K7, I think it was a K5, K6, I can't remember, but it was just an absolute beast. And what happened, that was the fastest bike, the 600cc Suzuki. That was the fastest bike that I'd ever rode at that particular moment in time. And I had a world of experience with motorcycles, and I kind of thought I know what I'm doing. But cut a long story short, I ended up coming off that motorcycle on a roundabout, basically trying to get my knee down, or getting my knee down on a roundabout, and I come off. Luckily I weren't hurt and nobody else was hurt, and just a few bruises of my ego and also the actual motorcycle itself. And then, if that wasn't a sign, what I also done is, a load of my friends at the time, older friends that got more experience than me, they were all going to the Nürburgring in Germany, and obviously I wanted to go along, but because of work I couldn't. So what I did is I took it upon myself to go on my own. I went to the Nürburgring on a Suzuki GSXR 600 to the Nürburgring in Germany on my own, and I rode pretty well. That was one of my first track days, I think, and again I come off on the Nürburgring, and luckily there weren't too much damage done to the bike, and it got me all the way home. And those were in the days where I thought I knew everything. I didn't care, completely fearless. And I guess this is a long-winded way of basically saying, like, we think we know best. Like, and my 24-year-old self who jumped on that sports bike, a super sport, like, I'm going to be alright, nothing's ever going to happen. I come off that GSXR 600 a few times, and that bike I think at the time cost me about £5,000 if I remember, £5,000 or £6,000. And when I look back on it, I mean, I was really lucky not to have hurt myself a lot more than what I did, and subsequently I went on to do track days at Brands on that bike, and I basically really learned how to ride a bike on that Suzuki GSXR 600. Now that's maybe a long-winded answer to somebody saying, and I see all of these videos, and I see in some groups, you know, the S1000RR group that I was part of, that a guy who had his licence for a year went out and bought a BMW S1000RR. And I just thought to myself, having owned that bike, I thought of myself, the young self of me, the 20-odd-year-old self. See you later, mate. So I thought of the younger me getting on the S1000RR, who with no track experience. I was like, I would have killed myself. I would be dead, 100%, 100%. Fearless, young, stupid that I was back then. So when I see somebody saying to me that they're thinking of buying this bike as their first bike, I'm like, I want to say to you, go and buy it, do what you want, live your dreams, la la la, all that sort of bullshit. But the reality is, you've got to have a good sense of equilibrium to ride motorcycles, particularly fast motorcycles. The way in which they turn into corners and the way you accelerate out of corners and use the throttle is a complete different ball game to a 600cc than a 1000cc and so on. It really is different, and I've got to be honest, through my experience and my opinion, if you're getting like an S1000RR or you're getting a Super Duke R 1290 as your first motorcycle, like legal, I think you're asking for trouble. And the truth is, yeah, you might come off, and you might, in the sense of, when I say come off, I mean as in you'll probably be okay if you do have a minor accident, drop it or whatever. But again, these bikes aren't cheap. You know, when I come off on the Nürburgring with my Suzuki GSXR 600, the thing that hurt me the most was the cost, was how much it cost me to sort the bike out, and I can't remember exactly what it was, because these are not cheap. So having this as a first motorcycle, I want to say, as I say, I want to say, yeah, do it, be a nutter, do what you want to do, because like when I was 24, 25, and probably still today, to be honest, I I basically done what I wanted to do. So, but look, I hope that's helpful in some shape or form. So with that said, the KTM Super Duke R as your first bike. Personally, if it's down to me, I would say no, don't do it. Get something a little bit smaller, even like an old Triumph Speed Triple. I've had loads of those bikes, they're still plenty quick. But again, that's just my 2 cents. I hope it's helpful, that's the intent. It's not a case of me exercising my ego, my big fat ego. It's nothing to do with that. It's just to do with like keeping you safe, keeping me safe, keeping everyone safe. And what I would urge anybody to do as well, if you're getting a big boy bike, if you're getting something like this, an S1000RR, a litre bike, blah blah blah, whatever it may be, go on a track. Go on a track. If you really think that you're Valentino Rossi and you've got the minerals, go on a track, because that's where you learn how to ride a motorcycle. And again, talking from experience, because if you think you're a good motorcyclist, on a track, very, very quickly you will find out if you're a good motorcyclist or not. So with that said, I'm got this lovely scenic view of KFC, a van, don't know what that is, car valeters, and all of these. So with that said, I'm just going to talk about the electronics on this bike as well. So again, if you are going to buy this bike as a first bike, or even if you're thinking of buying this bike as well, what I've learned about KTM is they seem to, how can I put this politely, taking the piss out of their prospects and customers with regards to the electronics. This is the 2017 model, and basically I can turn, or let's go back a step, there isn't any anti-wheelie on this. There isn't any anti-wheelie, unless it's under something completely different. But I can't find any anti-wheelie. And what I've discovered is, from looking at other videos like this and looking at other KTM owners, they always talk about getting the track pack installed, which enables you to turn the anti-wheelie off. But with this, all I do is I put it in sport, and I can turn off the MTC, which is the traction control, MSR, which is something to do with pushing more petrol when you come off the, something to do with a quick shifter basically. But when I turn that off, now the traction control's turned off and I can wheelie to my heart's content, put it in sport, and I've got access to the total of the 177 ponies. So that's on the 2017. So arguably I don't need the sports pack, the track pack, whatever it's called, to turn off the anti-wheelie. Look, let me show you. If I turn it over and let me just go round the block, you can see, oh look, it's because I've actually turned it. Oh god. Oh, as soon as you start videoing, this is one annoying thing with electronics. So look, if I go into this again, set, turn it off, close the throttle, press and hold, boom, traction control is off. So now what I can do, if the traction control's off, I can wheelie if I want to. Clearly I can't wheelie, and I'm not going to do a video of me wheeling, because probably what will happen is one of you will report me to the police, they'll knock at my door, I'll get arrested and lose my bike licence and my livelihood, lose my savings, go to prison and get bummed by some big gay man. So for that reason I'm not going to show you, but the traction control's off, and I can tell you from experience that I can wheelie with that. So that was going to be the only reason that I was going to go and get the track pack, so I can turn off the anti-wheelie and stuff. But again, this is a 2017 model, so I've got everything I need. I've only got three modes. I've got the I've got Sport, Street and Rain. Sport is, as you'd expect, it's instant, instantaneous access to the power. It's very like boom, it's there. Street is a little bit more smooth, and rain, well, as you'd expect, it really is very, very soft. I've used rain like a couple of times, but if I put this in rain, so again, I've been giving this some beans. I've really been having some fun on some B modes here in rain mode with the traction control off, and the difference, it's like, it reminds me a little bit, the power delivery of my my Triumph Speed Triple. If I'm honest, I've had two of those bikes for over a course of I don't know what, 3 years. So I know those bikes really, really well, and that's what this reminds me of. This is a lot lighter and a lot more nimble than the Triumph Speed Triple. And the Speed Triple, the ones I had about 135 brake horsepower, which is kind of what this reminds me of. And I could be wrong. Again, I haven't looked at the statistics, the stats, the numbers on the chart, but this feels like about 130 brake horsepower in rain mode. So for a first bike, if you was to buy this as a first bike and put it in rain mode, take the traction control off, I don't know, again, it's dependent on your experience. I'm going to sound like a broken record there, but I still don't think this is a bike for a newbie. I really don't. I think you're probably better off, and I'm going back over the same old stuff again, but you're probably better off buying something a little bit smaller, getting some, maybe for a year, and just going on the track a couple of times, understand and learn the bike a little bit before you, I don't know, it's up to you. But look, at the end of the day, my point being is, in rain mode with the traction control turned off, this power delivery is really reduced naturally. The ECU does a really good job, bit of gravel there, ECU does a really good job smoothing everything out. But when you pin the throttle in rain mode, let's have a look. Well, I don't want to put it on camera, but if I pin this in rain mode, which I just did a moment ago, with the camera off, it just takes a lot longer to get to speed, which you'd expect. So yeah, with that said, again, let's jump back to the main video. Rain, and then watch, if I turn this on now, this is the annoying thing with KTM. Traction control will go off a bit. So now if I drive off, the traction control is going to turn on. Yeah, see? So that's the annoying thing, which I heard about on the Gen 1 Super Dukes, is they would put all the settings in, they would turn the bike off, and then it would just go back to what it thought was the ideal situation for the bike. And that's obviously what this bike does. So I think what you've got to look at, if you're buying, let me just check I'm recording. Yes, I am. So if you're buying a Super Duke, a 2017 model, then I would not worry about all of that. If you're getting a 218, 219, I think what KTM have done is they've gone, this bike is quite popular, a lot of people want to buy it, what can we do to make more money? Well, let's put anti-wheelie on, and let's put traction control on, and if they actually want to take it off, let's charge them money and make more money, and blah blah blah. Because at the end of the day, look, KTM don't care about you and me, they care about making money, they care about the bottom line. At the end of the day, they're in business, and I understand that. But with that said, I think that the electronics really vary from 2017, which is what this is, Gen 2, Gen 2 2018, 2019, up to the third generation. It's really, really different. Now, with that said, the electronics. What are the 3 different modes like on this bike? Again, going back to the guy who specifically asked me on this channel, is rain mode okay for a beginner? Well, I'm in rain mode at the moment. I want to say yes. I want to say yes to you. I want to say yes, it's fine. Put it in rain and poodle around. But no, I can't say that. I can't, because you're going to end up putting yourself in a hedge. Oh God, you can't buy this bike and expect to be a good little boy. Even in rain. I mean, I can feel the throttle straight away in rain mode. I can feel how much. Look at what is going on. Seriously. I can feel in rain mode, like, I don't know the exact amount of horsepower difference there is, but in rain mode, oh, if I have my knee sliders on, I don't know in rain mode how much more it reduces the horsepower by. Even in rain mode, I can tell you, you're still going to get yourself in a little bit of trouble. So guys, again, I hope that this video is helpful, and I know I keep saying it all the time, but if you like this content, please consider to give it a thumbs up. You know, subscribe if you can. It would really mean a lot, because it gives me an incentive to make more videos like this, because I think, and it's only from perception, but motovlogging's dying. There seems to be 1 or 2 motovloggers that seem to have the whole section cornered, whole market cornered, and we're left with the popular journalists that are on our channels. But you know, kind of stuff like this, me talking with you, an honest guy who's working 9 to 5, who likes motorcycles. Oh, I don't know, I'm sounding like an old woman now, but please, if you like this content, please consider to just get your sausage finger, like the video, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.